Welcome to the CL Brown Show. I am your host, CL Brown, columnist with the Louisville Courier-Journal. On this episode, we're talking women's basketball. I am taping on location in Charlotte at the ACC Tipoff Media Day. We'll feature University of Louisville head coach Jeff Walz and player sophomore guard Tajianna Roberts. And next week's episode, we'll flip to the men's side where we will feature University of Louisville coach Pat Kelsey. So now we're going to skip over CL sounds off and jump right into the interviews. And now I'd like to welcome to the show University of Louisville women's basketball coach Jeff Walz. Jeff, thank you for joining me.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I feel like we have to talk about legacy. This is entering your 19th season at U of L, and going back to being there for your introductory press conference, I don't think at that time you were thinking about legacy.
I don't think you thought I'd make it. Not 19 years after that the first press conference. It was pretty bad. I'm not afraid to admit it.
It wasn't so bad. It was all right. But you're one of the longest tenured coaches nationally at the same school in women's basketball. Just how do you kind of look back on over the years? Did you think you would still be in the same spot for so long?
No. It's really difficult. I mean, it's something in this profession. You know, I spent 2 years at Western Kentucky, was at Nebraska for 4, 1 at Minnesota, then 5 at Maryland. And normally 5-6 years is, you hope to not get fired. But it's like, okay, then something else comes and you get a chance to move on. But it just worked out. This, it's been an unbelievable journey, an unbelievable experience. It's a city that loves women's basketball, an athletic department that cares about women's sports, not just basketball. And it started with Tom, and now Josh has the same beliefs and feelings. Amy, who I report to, Calabrese, she's fantastic. We have a great athletic department that cares about all of our sports.
Yeah. Now, I know you don't care what is said about you, but how would you like people to reflect when all is said? And I'm not trying to make you retired or anything like that, but how would you like for people to talk about Jeff Walz's tenure at Louisville?
Well, I think the people that have gotten to know me off the basketball court, it's when you're just solely judged on, as a coach. Part of what we do is entertainment as well. So, there'll be games I get a technical foul on purpose. Like, I know what I'm doing. And you want people to want to come back. You want them to get excited. That's part of our job. From the basketball side of things, I would hope people would be able to say that when we came into where we are now and when I'm finished, that they saw growth. They've seen stability. It was one thing I'll never forget. Tom told me during my interview process, he goes, I don't just want a good team every 4 or 5 years. He goes, I want a good program. And I think we've done that. I mean, I was sitting doing the TV interview, and I think they said we've had 15 straight 20-win seasons, and it's the most of any team in the ACC, which I never would have dreamt that. So I think we've shown the consistency. Do we want to win a national championship? Of course I do. But I promise you there's about 364 other teams out there that have the same goal. But that would be as a coach. And I think I would hope that people in our city and our university know that I care about the university, our city. It's home. It's going to be home for us. So it's been great. It's hard to believe, to be honest, 19 years. And it's going to be where I retire from. I'm not looking for any other job. I have no aspirations or interest in that.
Indeed. So much has changed in the game itself since you first took over till now. Even so much has changed in the last 3 years. And you've mentioned about the revenue sharing, how that changes things. You're your own general manager. Where does there's always been haves and have-nots.
Sure.
Even before the money was where it is now.
But the haves and have-nots, I'm going to interrupt you, but I will say, over my 30 years and over my 19 years as a head coach, the haves and have-nots had decreased. There was getting much more parity.
Yeah.
19 years ago, I don't think anybody ever thought Louisville. We've played in 4 Final Fours since Tennessee's played in 1. The last Final Four Tennessee went to was 2000, and I believe 7. And nobody would have dreamt that. But because parity's now gotten better, we've got more teams, more athletic departments, more athletic directors that are putting resources into women's basketball. But now it's it's going to change, and it is, and that's what I am concerned about that, because a lot of us have worked so hard to get parity to where it is, to now it's going to possibly.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask, just like, you could still kind of maybe develop some talent back then. You could kind of even things out by doing certain things, but now it's like, even if you develop somebody, there might be some tampering, whatever. We got some more money for you over here, and they can.
They're not. It's not might be. It's not going to be might be. It's what's happening.
So how do you kind of find a competitive edge, or find a way to?
You've got. We do everything we can to make sure it doesn't come down to $25,000. You're trying to make sure they understand the experience, they understand the relationships they're building with community, so some of our community leaders off the basketball floor. So when their careers are finished, they have a network that can help them after basketball. Because it does, if it gets to 50 or 75,000, I'm going to lose them. If there's a difference, and you can't be mad at them. If somebody walked in here and offered you 75,000 more than you're making currently, I don't know. There's a chance you might leave.
I'm dropping the mic. I'm out of this interview.
So that's what I'm saying. So sometimes people get upset, fans get upset with players for leaving. Where if I switch it around and said, in your profession, if someone offered you that and they all go, well, I'd switch jobs. I go, well, that's what they're doing now. They're just switching jobs.
So you got 8 players returning. You got a nice blend of transfers you brought in as well. How much more confident are you about this season, just knowing you have that much more experience and continuity?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really looking forward. We have two scrimmages coming up here in the next 3 weeks, which will give me a lot clearer view of where we are. I like the team. I like our depth, our talent. Our players have gotten better, which is an important thing. It's what you always want from, I tell people, all because you go from a freshman to a sophomore, it doesn't mean you got any better. It's the work you put in, and we're fortunate that the players we have put the work in, so they've gotten better. So that's what excites me.
Starting off in Germany with UConn, first of all, after the experience last year with UCLA and Paris, how do you enjoy these kind of, international experiences for the team culture, building that as well?
No, I think it's great. Our Paris trip was amazing. Such a wonderful opportunity, not just for our players, but their families
Did
were
you get
able
a
to
beret?
come. I did not. No.
You missed out.
I missed out on that. And we'll do the same here for our trip to Germany. We'll go 2 days early so we can really try to get our kids immersed in the culture so they can experience that before we have to go on to the Air Force Base. So we'll spend 3 nights on the Air Force Base. And then, just going to have to adapt to the fact that it's 11:55 p.m. tip.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a midnight tip there in Germany.
Yeah. Well,
so I'm going to have a lot of caffeine.
Kind of harkens back to the old days of Midnight Madness.
That's right.
Midnight Madness. Indeed. Well, the ACC is, as well as a league, how deep is it this year? Do you feel like it's going to be another, there's no clear-cut favorite that's just so dominant and so far ahead of everybody? I feel like there's a lot of teams I could see winning this league.
I would agree with you on that. I think it's going to be a very competitive league. I think we've got a lot of really good teams. I'm waiting to see who that team or two is going to be that you can say they're Final Four. Now, I also have to see the rest of the teams in the country as well. With the transfer portal, players moving, sometimes you don't even realize where a kid left to, because there's so many of them that transfer. So the days of being able to just look at somebody's roster from the previous year, going, okay, here's the freshman they brought in, here's it's all changed.
Make it much harder to scout early on.
It's much harder. Miami, for one, they brought in like 5 or 6 or 7 transfers, very talented players. So their team is going to be much different from last year's team.
Do you still enjoy it the same way because of all of the changes? And we've seen you're not as old as some of the people we've seen step away from the game, but I mean Tony Bennett wasn't that old, relatively speaking, and he kind of got tired of dealing with the things now. I enjoy it. I love it. I love the relationships you build, the opportunities to hopefully shape and help mold some of these young kids. Like right now with all this rev share and NIL, I've probably spent more time trying to explain what a Roth IRA is. And things like that to me, sure, I want to win a championship, but if I had 5 of these kids come back, now I'd probably be dead when they turn 65. But, when they're 65, if I've got 4 or 5 of them that just followed my advice that I've been giving them of start now as an 18-year-old, put $7,000 away a year, here's what you'll have when you're 65. It's generational wealth. It's not just money for them. It can change a generation where, we weren't looking to put money away until I was 27, 28 years old. The $12,000 I was making, my first coaching job at Western Kentucky, there wasn't much time to be putting money away. Going into year 2 from that, I'll never forget, Paul Sandiford called us in and said, got everybody a 3% raise. He was all excited. I said, Coach, I'm not sure where I'm going to spend that $360 for over my 12 months. Ball cap.
That's it.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, I felt the same way in terms of I didn't know what a Roth IRA was till I was almost 30. Like it does change a lot with the amount of money they make now, and being able to come out. It's some simple as coming out of college debt free too.
Yes.
But I'm way away from basketball now. One more basketball question for you. I feel like I ask you this every year before the season. How good is this team? Is this a potential Final Four team?
It's a team right now. I'm waiting to see health-wise where a few of us can get. I would say right now, I think we're a Sweet 16 team with the capability of getting to an Elite 8. And then once you get to there, like I said, anything can happen. I like the fact that I do believe we're a Sweet 16 team right now. And then with the right draw, a bounce here or there, I'd like to see what this team can do.
A healthy roster, all those
Amen.
things. Indeed. Well, I appreciate you joining the show, Jeff. Good luck to you this season.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to welcome to the show University of Louisville guard Tajianna Roberts. Taj, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
So you are the leading scorer returning for this bunch. What do you feel like after a successful freshman year, what do you feel like you have to do for an encore?
I would say I would have to lead. I had to lead each and every day. I have to lead, show my leadership skills, with the experience that I had, playing all those minutes that I did, I have that experience. So just directing my teammates and leading them and elevating my teammates, I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm focusing on.
Now, I must say, I can, just from ACC Tipoff, I know this is a very small sample size, but I feel like your presence is bigger than last year when I went to practice and everything and saw you guys play. not that you were timid last year, but I do think there was some of that newness and like, let me see how I can fit in here. Is that accurate to say?
I think, yeah, as a freshman, I was definitely much feel the room, feel the atmosphere, and as a freshman, you can hide, you can go, hide, so I think there's a big jump from freshman to sophomore year, and with the success that I did have, I think for me individually is to be more dominant and, be more assertive as far as in my game, and the way I talk, my vocal, just show that confidence and, just be more dominant.
Yeah. Where would you say, what area would you say of your game you've expanded upon, like that will be a little different when we go see you play this year?
I think I really expanded on my versatility with the ball in my hands, being more comfortable at the one, directing traffic a little bit more, telling my teammates where to be, seeing the court from, the PG aspect. So I think just playing a little bit more with the ball in my hands this year.
Yeah. So your debut last year, 21 in Paris against UCLA, kind of let everybody know I'm here.
Yes.
What do you see you guys back in Europe for the opener against UConn?
Yes.
A game that is, that was nationally televised and everything like that too. But this is another kind of marquee event that you can let college basketball know what's up with Taj Roberts. So what do you see coming into that game? How do you feel about that?
I'm just excited, to play out of the country again. Most people can't say that they play 2 games out of the country. I played my first collegiate basketball game in Paris. Now my second game I'm playing overseas in Germany. But I think the biggest thing is to just show all the work that I put in on the off season and just a testament to the work that I put in. And I think I'm excited to see that show on the court out there in Germany.
How much do y'all get to enjoy? Obviously, you're there for the game.
Yes.
And you practice and everything while you're over there. But how much do you get to enjoy culturally being in Paris and now being in Germany and,
we get to explore quite a bit. I think that's what Coach Walz prides himself on, allowing us, not only helping us as basketball players, but, he's giving us the opportunity to see the world. So when we were in Paris, we did a lot of sightseeing. We had a lot of different activities. We had a boat tour. We saw the Eiffel Tower. So we did so many things. And with Germany, we're doing the same thing. We're leaving, I believe, 3 days early before we need to report to the base, just so we can go sightsee and learn about all the history that Germany has to offer.
Now, earlier, when you guys were on the podium here at Media Day, Coach Walz kind of made a joke about some freshmen get better at sophomores, but not all freshmen stay in the same place to become sophomores where they play their first year.
Yes.
How big, and I know a lot of coaches will talk about tampering and things like that with their athletes. Was there anything that anybody kind of approached you third party, like, hey, come to school XYZ, or, if you're interested, there'll be a spot for you kind of thing? Did any of that happen for you in the off season?
I think for me, I wasn't really worried about any of the outside noise. I was happy with the year that I had, my freshman year. So I had my eyes still, set on Louisville and what this program has for me. And this is the place for me. So,
yeah. What do you think about, you guys returned 8 players from last year. What do you think about kind of the chemistry and the continuity? How will that translate into kind of hitting the ground running, so to speak, for this season?
I think it's a big factor, really, because especially I think with my... No, how does that even work? That doesn't even make sense. You see how funny he thought that was? Jeez, I love that guy, really. But I think it's a big factor because even in the off season, playing with Alif, who we call E in the post, you don't realize how much playing together really matters. Just that 1 year we had together, even in the pick and roll, I know where she likes to be, I know where she likes the ball. So I think returning that many players, yes, the chemistry and camaraderie is a lot better, and we know each other's weaknesses and strengths, so we know how to get each other in the best possible position for this team. So I think it's a huge factor, and it's going to work in our favor.
And also, you have the newcomers, and one of them was sitting here with me earlier, Laura How do you think she is fitting in, and what kind of impact do you feel like she's going to have this season?
I think she's fitting in well. As you can just see, she's a great person, not only on the court but off the court as well. She's very positive. She's very high energy. So I think she's going to be great for this team. She's a great leader. She's a great communicator. She's very competitive. She's always trying to win and do whatever's best for this team. And I think it's just a testament to her character. She's a great person, and I think that's why she will be so good as a basketball player, because she's not wrapped up in herself. She's willing to do whatever this team needs, and we need her to have a big role for us. So I'm excited to see, and I'm glad she came to Louisville.
So just that exchange with Coach Walz a second ago, I feel like from his early time at U of L and kind of seeing some of his players through the years in a relationship, y'all have a special relationship. I'm kind of thinking of like the relationship you have with Angel and players of that level.
Yes.
How did that kind of develop? Like, was that something in recruiting or was over the course of last season when you guys really kind of, you felt like you really hit a groove?
I think that's one of the reasons why I came here is because of Coach Walz. And, when he was recruiting me, he's the same person he is when he was recruiting me as he is today. And I think last year we were able to build that relationship where we get to know each other. But I think we're very similar in the sense of cracking jokes, and he's very sarcastic. So whenever he has a sarcastic comment, like, I'm able to give him a little comeback. But I think our relationship grows because he's willing to get to know me as a person, and his goal is to help me. So if he knows me better as a person, he's going to be able to help me better on the basketball court, and I appreciate him willing to do that. And I think that's why we're able to have like a moment like that and laugh, because he's a great person, not only on the court but off the court. Like, he really cares for his players, and he takes care of his players.
Indeed. Well, I appreciate you joining the show. Tajianna Roberts, check her out this year. Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Just because we're at basketball doesn't mean we're going to skip out on pickup lines. Picking 5 games against the spread in college football. Even though Louisville and Kentucky are both off this week, still a lot of good games. Let's start with Ohio State, a 14.5-point favorite against Illinois. At Illinois, I'm going with the Buckeyes on the road. I think they are proven to be, they're really starting to get separation in terms of establishing themselves as an elite team. Illinois has kind of probably got a little bit more credit just for returning a lot of players last year, but they're not as good as their ranking was early on in the season. Moving on, Alabama is 3-point favorite at Missouri. This is going to be a big game. It's really a tough one to pick. I've kind of gone back and forth on it, but I do think Bama is starting to hit its stride. I think Kalen DeBoer will have an offensive game plan that will get over on Missouri. Also think the over in this game might hit. Moving on to the Red River rivalry, Oklahoma against Texas. Oklahoma is still playing without quarterback John Mateer. Texas is a 1.5-point favorite. Texas kind of fell apart on the road at Florida last week. I think Oklahoma will have a defensive game plan in place to further confuse and muck up the game for Arch Manning and the Texas offense. So give me the Sooners and the 1.5 points. Indiana on the road at Oregon, 7.5-point underdog. I don't think it's been well for teams that travel east to west. Not really all that great for teams traveling west to east either. But I do think Oregon is also a team I feel like is starting to separate itself from the pack and finding its groove under former Trinity High quarterback and University of Louisville quarterback Will Stein as the offensive coordinator for the Ducks. So give me the Ducks and lay the points in that one. And lastly, we got Arkansas and the Fighting Bobby Petrinos in the interim role. 12.5-point underdog on the road at Tennessee. I actually like the Razorbacks in this game. Usually when a coach gets fired, that team, there's a little bit of a bump in their play and their effort. We saw UCLA with fire coach Deshaun Foster. They go out and beat Penn State last weekend. And Tennessee, this is a look ahead spot because they have Alabama next weekend. So I'm not sure. I fully expect Tennessee to win the game, but I think the Razorbacks will cover. So that will do it for another episode of the CL Brown Show. I hope you enjoyed the interviews. Please come join me again next Wednesday when a new episode drops, and we'll cover the men's side from ACC Tipoff, including University of Louisville coach Pat Kelsey. If not, please leave 5-star review because we need more love in this world. Please click on those follow buttons to subscribe to the podcast, and I will catch you next week. Thank you for tuning in.